Hi everybody, this is Persephone, and I'm trying to figure out what my intro is going to be for my videos. Like, one of the girls I watch says, these are your astrological vibrations for whatever day it is, and trying to figure out what mine's going to be. I just got out of the most glowing, amazing class. I may have told you, or maybe it happened so fast I didn't get to tell you, with Gemini Brett, who is with, I say this every night, the Cosmic Intelligence Agency. I got it right tonight. And the Mystery School teachings. He's teaching all kinds of astrology, but shamanic astrology seems to be one of the most prevalent in his teachings, and he gave some information on that tonight. Shamaniciastrology.com. There's a book there I'm supposed to go get. There's a book called The Light That Changes that he talks about, and I'm going to be looking into all of this stuff because my soul, I just sent him a message, my soul has been craving this, and it wasn't until I decided to stop fighting my path, which I've been doing for years, and just get on it and start living it, that all of these, like I said, these gifts, this knowledge, this light has just been flooding into my life, and I'm just, it's so, it just juices me, it charges me, and I'm so excited. And in light of everything that's going on around me right now, apparently, let me see if I can get this one right. I heard it a couple days ago that Uranus is squaring, I believe, Mercury right now, and I've been told by some astrologers that Uranus brings surprises, and not always in the good way, and there are lessons that are still for your highest good, and things are going to be changing for the better, but things definitely came out of nowhere in this house last night, and long story short, I actually wanted to leave, but I didn't know how I was going to, and things came to a head, and I will be gone within the month, so I just got really calm and waited for answers, put out my feelers to friends and family to see what would happen, and things have shifted with a dear friend of mine, and so I may be moving in with her. We were planning to kind of move in together down the line anyway, in a different city, but yeah, things may be changing. I may be going back towards a city that I left 9 months ago or so now. So I will keep you posted on that journey. Yeah, things just change, and we manifest like crazy these days, so I encourage you all to stay really good and grounded. That's been my challenge today, is really just in the midst of some major chaos, is just really staying grounded. And I was reading a report, if any of you watch, I said this in my videos years ago, in 5D, how appropriate with Mercury retrograde, he's still putting out information, and has his website and his, I think, talk show and all of that. And he was just saying in an article that those of us that are not doing our work and not doing our grounding, you're going to see people popping off. And I was just talking about how when I first moved here, I felt like I was losing my mind, and I was fighting the grounding. I had just come out of a corporate job in a different city in the rat race, and here I was with nothing to do, no communication with the outside world, much of any, and on a internet and device, electronic devices detox, because I've been sitting in front of 2 computer monitors and just going crazy every day. Hated it, and my soul was fighting it hardcore. So they gave me a detox, and instead of relaxing into it and finding my groove, and my little Aries moon stubborn self was fighting it so hard that I was losing my mind. And now I'm realizing it's about clearing, staying grounded, deciding to be on your path instead of fighting it, and then the sanity comes, and then the gifts come, and the knowledge and the things that your soul's been craving for so long. That all shows up. So I'm quite excited. This is going to be a whole series of classes and new moon gatherings, and the only thing I can liken this class to, I talked about it in my video yesterday, but it was, it transports me back to like medieval times, mystery schools, but he kind of reminds me of a bard, and he calls himself a storyteller, and he can weave words and images and just transport you, and my synapses just fire off like crazy, and it changes my thinking and perspective on things I've been studying for years. But it just happened to be time that I found this, because all of my knowledge of all things esoteric and the occult play into these classes, because he throws so much out there in succession, and if you haven't studied this stuff, it can go over your head. So having studied this for about 20 years now, it's all just clicking into place, and it feels really amazing. So yeah, I almost don't even want to tell anyone else, because these classes fill up so fast, but in the spirit of sharing knowledge and all of that, it is Gemini Brett, and check him out. So if you're interested in all things astrology. So and I mean so much more. It's soul retrieval, which I'm just learning more about what that really means, and it's exciting stuff. So a couple of things he was talking about tonight. This really, another thing that warped my understanding and changed perspectives was, does the light of moon still rule the night? And he gave this story from a text that he said he doesn't often quote, and I certainly don't go back to very often, due to childhood traumas and just wanting to study other books for the rest of my life, since I was forced to study the Bible when I was growing up, and there's nothing wrong with it. There's a lot of contradictions in it, and it's been warped by kings passed down from generation to generation wanting control of the people, so they cut out a lot of the really good stuff, and it's all whatever. Form your own opinion about it, to each their own. But he quoted from the Bible about how God made 2 lights, one to rule the day and one lesser to rule the night. And he said, does the moon still rule the night when it's the dark of the moon and the new moon? And gave a story about how people, before there was electricity, wouldn't travel much during the new moon because it was so dark outside. And so that just started to blow my mind. And then he said that he gave us the story of Ganesha, who I've always connected with. Apparently Ganesha is one of the first deities in Hindu religion that you connect with when you're on a path. And I've started to learn about the others, but there's always such a huge place in my heart for Ganesha. And he told a story about, I had never heard, how Ganesha loves to eat sweets, which so do I, and having to learn how to do them the healthy way now, but how Ganesha was just like binge eating cakes and sweets and whatever, and somehow stumbled off of his, I guess, I forget what it's called, what platform he was traveling on, and busted his gut, literally, kind of gross, but all these cakes came spilling out, and there was a cobra along the path, and he was laughing at him, and he promptly killed that snake and used him as a tourniquet to tie himself together. And the moon is watching all this, and there were traditions where they used to say the moon was always full, was always bright and full. And so Ganesha, being Ganesha, was like, "Don't you laugh at me," and pulled out one of his tusks and threw it at the moon and shattered it, and then the light went away. So that's how we got the phases of the moon. I thought that was pretty cool, and I never knew how Ganesha lost a tusk, so this whole thing is just like blowing my mind with the synchronicities of learning about the moon phases and all of that. So yeah, that was pretty cool. And then there were a couple other things. We went over the different glyphs and what they mean in astrology. It's really cool. I think he's going to post this at some point, so if you want to check it out, it's the Taurus New Moon Gathering talk. He talks about the synodic cycle being 29 and a half days of the moon, from new moon to new moon. Most people, I think, are pretty familiar with that one, and how the moon is a really fast teacher. Like, the sun takes a year, of course, to go through all of the zodiac signs. Some planets take 29 years, more than, 70 some years, I think, for the further planets. And the moon goes through each sign in about 2 or 2.5 days. And how we can really just tune in, even if we don't know what phases it's in. He's encouraging those of us that are new to this, he calls it the moon game, just for 1 month, without knowing what phase it's in, although I still will because I follow reports. But connect and see what it feels like, and I'm just getting to know what each sign feels like when the moon is in it. And I mentioned a few days ago about how Pisces moons are just a lot for me to deal with and feel very sad. And he mentioned, does it make you feel sad? Does it make you feel earthy? Does it make you feel like you want to get out and just think about things, the air signs? And so I'm just going to do that this month and connect into each one and see how I feel. And that's kind of the next step on my journey and learning about all things mystery school teachings, which is just cool. And he's encouraging us to do present moment practices. He said he was out lost in Joshua Tree recently at night, and the sun was setting, and he was kind of really lost and didn't have clothing and food and wasn't prepared for this, and he was freaking out, and he's like, this is my moment to practice what I preach and tell people to just get centered and follow the directions from the stars or from wherever you're at in the day, from the sun or the moon. And he sat down and he made he calls it a herm, like a cairn is what we called it in Sedona, and that's my Celtic roots. That's what I like to call it, but a herm for Hermes apparently is what he does, and it's just stacking the rocks, and you have to be present in that moment or they just topple over. And he got really centered and he did this, and then he followed the stars and he found his way back to his car. And because the new moon is in Taurus in a few hours here, actually it's 5:16 a.m. I think Pacific time, he's saying, because Taurus is a sign of just earthiness and beauty and art and love and is ruled by Venus, to get into whatever puts you in the present moment: yoga, painting, dance, singing. He had this amazing singer on tonight. What is her name? Water Eye at band camp, I think, was the link he gave. I'll look at his links later. And she like channels her music. She'll ask the audience to throw out a few words, and tonight she was listening to the talk and she just incorporated all like off the cuff in her music, and her voice just pierces through you, and it's intense and it's healing and it's amazing. So I encourage you to check her out. Water Eye, like it sounds. And then there's a moth flying around on my blanket. The alchemical sign he was wearing on his sweatshirt, he got it's organic cotton sweatshirt from someone he met when he was out at a gathering or something, and it's cheese strings, QI, cheese strings at I don't know, .com or something like that. So I'm gonna look that up and check it out, because that's also very similar to the symbol I think I showed you on my new tarot cards, and there's something to it, so I'm gonna check that out. And then he also showed this beautiful artwork by his friend Seven, and I don't know how to find her yet, but it was peacocks surrounding what looked like lungs, but it was very artsy and filled with flowers and berries and things, and then above was the cosmos. It was like it's like you're breathing with the cosmos, was the feeling I got from the painting, and underneath it was the earth and the sun, and then the crescent moon above it, and it symbolized, the way it was set up symbolized Taurus, how it's pictured in glyphs, where it's the sun topped by the crescent moon. And anyway, the whole thing was brought together so beautifully, and I loved it, and I hope that either you check it out or this inspires you to do your own research into some of this further, and whatever you want to do and whatever you're inspired to do, I'm cool with that. And then the last thing I think I wanted to talk about was every 19 years, excuse me, the kitty wants to leave the room. I want to go. Okay. Oh. Come on. Go on. When she wants to go, she makes it known. So, anyway, every 19 years, and I have to go back and watch this again because there was so much so fast, but every 19 years, the position of the moon goes back to where it was, I think, in relation to the sun and the stars, and it's kind of a soul retrieval moment where, like every 29 days, the moon goes back to the same phase it was in when you were born, and I've learned to connect to that, and that's super powerful. So every 19 years, he was saying, it's a great time to connect with the moon, kind of like, you know, your solar return, your birthday, your lunar return every month. So this one is super uber powerful, so I just want to share that with you, because I'll be focusing on that when my next time of 19-year cycles comes around. Okay, and I think the only other thing I wanted to leave you with tonight was a quote, and it's by Abraham Hicks, and it says, "When you start relaxing and trusting in your worthiness, which means expecting good things to come to you, then you open all kinds of doors that had been barred. And you let all kinds of unseen forces assist you in ways that you were preventing before." And I feel like that's exactly where I'm at in my life. I've been fighting this path for so hard for so long, and they had to pull the acupuncture manuals out of basically my cold dead fingers. Like, how many soul deaths can I go through for them to just be like, let it go, let it go? And I'm like, but it was 4-5 years of study and boards and you know, academia, and they beat all this stuff into you, and you're like, I have to do it this way. And they're like, no, you don't. It's faster our way, so knock it off. And I recently was listening to, I mentioned her before, Karis Melina Brown. She's a soul sister of sorts, and we crossed paths a few years ago, and she's been doing this for many years. And she said she's basically at the educational level, I guess, that I'm at. I'm sure she's got another master's degree in there, she said, but she left school a few months before she got a PhD. And she said she had a nice cushy corporate job, and everything looked perfect on the outside to everyone else, but she was having like panic attacks on the way to work every day. And that's, again, what I just went through, trying to go back to the corporate world and trying to do integrative medicine and bring what I knew to, you know, the Western world eventually. And she's like, no, that's been done. She's like, I didn't need to do that. And, you know, with even kind of mainstream now holistic medicine, it just doesn't move as fast. And the energetic healings that I do, and I guess the work she does, it just goes so much faster, and you get so much more accomplished. And it's like, as much as I know I'm not here to do anything mainstream, and I'm an indigo warrior kid who's here to bust stuff up and change whatever was mainstream, I don't even like the idea of marriage contracts. Like, why is the government involved in a relationship? Like, I just can't even fathom that. And so why would I let the same thing happen? Why would I get a license to do healing work when I can do it already? And I don't need, you know, physical needles. I do energy needles. I do energy healing through light work so much faster. And these people that I've been watching and talking about, they don't make a lot of money, and as they say, they don't need to. They live like they're retired and travel all over, and that is what I'm heading towards. And I felt that for a while now. When the universe calls you, if you fight it, and I've seen people around me do this who are light workers and just will not admit it to themselves. And I keep trying. I keep showing up in their lives and saying, you know, it's me and I'm your mirror. And whenever you come to this realization, you do, and that's fine. But the universe kept showing up to me and saying, I'm your mirror. When are you gonna do your work? And I finally said, okay, so I'm taking you all in this, that whoever watches, on this journey with me. And I have felt for a while now like they never let me stay in one job for more than a year. 2 was like my max, and that was pretty much while I was studying for the boards for acupuncture. But they want me moving around, and something I've come to realize is that I hold a huge energy field, and other light workers have seen it, and they tell me all the time. And it's very difficult for, like, people that I live with, people I work with, if I'm in one place for too long. And I'm not trying to be, you know, ego. I don't think anyone's better than anyone else. It's just what I am pulling in because of where I come from. It can be really difficult for people because I've been told in several readings from different cultures that I'm a pure mirror, which is a very rare thing, and it's not fun. It's not comfortable for me either. People either hate you or they love you, and they see their own reflection in you, and they will react sometimes just very nasty. And I mean, that can happen to anyone, but it gets to be extreme because they don't want to see what they're doing in their life. They don't want to see what they look like. They don't want to see, they just don't want to see. So, it's not a fun thing sometimes, but I'm starting to go with the flow with it, and life may not look anything like I wanted it to or had planned it to, but I'm gonna go where I'm needed, and they're gonna put me in situations and places where I'm needed, and I'm getting to be okay with that now and surrendering to it. And the reason I know that I'm on the right path is because things like these classes and this knowledge and these amazing people show up, and I'm finally okay with their energies, because before I'd be like, I don't vibe with that, you guys are hippy dippy, it's just weird. But now, like, I'm starting to see all of this knowledge and light pop up in my life. So as stressful as it can be, being in transition here, I'm just gonna go with it. And I have friends and family that are in my life that love me and support me and will be here when I need them. And, you know, the universe and the goddess and the angels are always looking out for me. So, here I go again, another journey. And whatever you all are going through out there, I've said this before, I'll keep saying it, you're not alone. And we are all in this together, and we're on this crazy journey and wild ride. And so I send you lots of love and blessings, and I'll see you again tomorrow.